So I've known about this movie for about 10 years and have seen clips of it, but never watched it all the way through until recently with my friend because we were looking for a movie and he happened to find it. And the way I interpreted it, or at least the way I would describe this movie, is just a love story. And I think the movie does such a good job with making the scenes and making the characters realistic that it can really resonate with anyone, depending on straight, gay, trans, it doesn't really matter. So, in the beginning of the movie, Adele is 17 and still in high school, and Emma is 22 and in, I think, her second to last year art school. And one thing that's very clear off the bat is the confidence difference between the two of them. Adele isn't as comfortable with her sexuality compared to Emma, which makes sense because Emma is quite a bit older at this point in the movie. Emma is also just generally more sure of herself, I think. One of the earlier scenes that stands out to me is when Adele brings Emma to have dinner with her parents and doesn't tell them that she's her girlfriend. Instead, they just think she's a friend who's helping her with schoolwork. I think this is the first hint of how important class is for the two of them in this movie. And this is what stood out to me most about this movie because class can have such an impact on relationships, and it's such a hard thing to communicate because I think a lot of the time it's difficult to grasp in the moment of how it's affecting things. But in hindsight, when I look back, it's had such a big impact on my life, even if it's seemingly not that big of a difference. Emma comes from a culture where she is more encouraged to take risks, which is shown throughout the movie with her being an artist. Adele, on the other hand, I think is more so going through life just trying to get by, which I think she adopted from her upbringing and parents. Another time the class difference is shown is when Adele and Emma host a party with all of Emma's friends. Adele is clearly a little overwhelmed and intimidated the whole time, and the whole experience takes a lot out of her, whereas the experience is mostly just relaxing and fun for Emma because this is what she's used to. When they end up breaking up with each other because Emma cheats on Adele, Adele ends up being the one who's totally broken. She was more attached the whole time, and I would argue she put more into loving Emma. Not that Emma doesn't love her back, I just think Emma has put more of herself into her art and her social life outside of Adele, which is why it was maybe easier for her to be not quite as destroyed. The way the movie skips through time shows how Adele, despite being years removed from their relationship, is still hanging on by a thread and has been destroyed by it. She does keep going though, she doesn't give up, she keeps doing her teaching job and tries to put herself out there. And I don't really know what else to say about this movie. It just instantly became probably my favorite movie I've ever seen, and it's just so realistic that I think it's so easy for a lot of people to relate to, no matter who you are.